Guys. Hi. Hi, guys. I'm still eating cough drops because my life is not fully together. Hi. Hi. Hey. Oh, I think we got Cory on. Let's see. Oh, y'all are punctual. Oh, wait, let's see. I'm gonna get myself together one of these days.
Yo, yo.
There it is. Skeezy.
What's up, Mimi? How are you?
How are you? I have to push this back because I can't hear myself. How are you?
I'm doing well. You know how it is leaving the house. It's like super bizarre, but it's been great so far.
Right. Is it like it's hard getting used to this because it's just new and weird, right? Or
It's it's weird, but also I think for me, and not to rub salt in the wound, but like I had the jury house to kind of like half decompress, where like it's not just going from like 0 to 100, it's going from like 0 to 40 to 100. But yeah, it's been wild. Have you been recognized at like weird places?
oh no, I was recognized last night. I was out with
Yeah.
my girlfriend for dinner and we're leaving and somebody's like, "Oh my God, Mickey, hi!" And I was like, "Hi!" It is so bizarre, just like being out and people knowing who we are. Because before this, we were literally nobody. Like
Yeah, no, I
no one.
still feel like a nobody. But then I'm at like Tijuana Flats, which is like the local Mexican chain restaurant we have, and the person working there is just like, "Skeezy?" I'm like, "What?" What? I'm like, by the way, I love the chicken flautas. But yeah, it's bizarre. I know for you especially because you're also a fan of the show, and there wasn't that many fans in our season. Like, I feel like it's
Oh,
extra bizarre. Like meeting the other cast members from previous seasons was crazy.
oh no, I loved it. That was my favorite
Mm.
part of finale weekend. Being able to meet other
Yeah.
alumni, I was living for that. I mean, Danielle Reyes, who is
Oh
like,
my God, me
I,
too.
right?
Yeah.
So that moment for me, and this is even before finale that I meet Danielle, and so I am full blown in stand mode when I meet Danielle, and I'm like, I am loving this. For me, I'm evicted, right? And I come
Yeah.
home and literally we are in this time capsule of a Big Brother house, but I come home and literally everything is the same. My house is
Mhm.
the same, my husband's the same, Gizmo's haircut is the same, nothing changes. I've just been gone for like 80 days. I'm like, okay, like this is freaking bizarre. And then I go to the grocery store and somebody's like, "Were you on Big Brother?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just here to
They're like,
I'm
"Me
just here to get
Calamity? Oh my God."
Calamity. Is that you?
What do
Oh
you
my
think
God, you
of
dummy. How did you get it?"
we all thought it was like a cool comic, but we didn't understand it at all. Like why?
I still don't
Yeah.
understand it. I look
Yeah.
cute. Like I look cute.
Hmm.
The hair was giving, but I have no idea what it means. Okay, so let me ask you this. Are you
Sure.
still hungover from this 16-hour deep dive that you do with Taryn? Like what are you feeling right now?
So you know how I had like a cough the entire time in the house? When
Yeah.
I'm in jury, I'm good. I come back home after all the parties and the drinking, and it's not stuff I do super often. And now I'm
Yeah.
back to like dry heaving and dying, and then I do this 6 hour deep dive. Like I am like on my last breath here, but then I remember what I'm actually doing is like nothing. I'm like sitting and talking to a camera most of the day, so
Yeah.
you know, I'll tough it out. Don't you worry.
Yeah. No, I got faith in you. So what's the plans for Thanksgiving? Like what are the vibes? Are we in Florida? Are we in
Mm.
Texas? Like what is it giving for the
All
holidays
right,
this year?
so here's the roadmap. Okay, America is coming in on Wednesday for Thanksgiving. So she'll be down here, which is cool, and we're gonna be here for a while. Then we're going to New York for her birthday, and then we're going to the New Orleans RHAP event. Um, And then from there, we don't really have a plan, but we've got like a nice 2 week-ish, 3 week stretch of doing stuff. So it should be a good time. I'm very excited, obviously.
Oh, this is so cute. You guys are going on a world tour.
Oh, yeah.
I love this. And the holidays are my favorite time of the year. So what better time to be booed up than during the holidays?
Yeah,
Like,
and we're going to Texas for Christmas, I believe, which here's my problem. I don't think they celebrate Hanukkah there. Like, I don't know, like, how am I going to light the candles, the menorah? This is pretty fucked up. I hope they're very inclusive. But you know, if I got to celebrate the birth of Christ this year, that's fine. You know,
if you
I can make
got
it
to
happen.
celebrate Christ, it may as well be with the Lopez's. I'm
Hey,
here.
exactly.
That is super cute. So now that have you back, like where are you in terms of like actually looking at the show?
So the first like 3 days I was out of the show, or at least when I was home from LA, I basically downloaded the entire game and figured out what happened and listened to all the podcasts and the deep dives and watched all the clips and none of the episodes because you know I actually never watched the episodes before going on the show, honestly. But I basically figured out exactly what happened, which is like cool, but also obviously very frustrating. So like I know everything that happened, but I've seen none of the episodes.
Okay, so what frustrates you the most from what you know, from what you've gathered?
You can answer this question. My writers' room alliance, day 4. You know, I look at the camera day 4, and I'm like, Damien, I'm not going to betray her. Don't you worry. We're riding and dying till the end. And then like over the next like 3 weeks, we barely talked, but I kept like trying, and I was like, all right, I don't think it's going to happen because honestly,
No, that's not.
yeah.
That's
All right,
not true.
go on.
We talk over these next 3 weeks,
Mhm.
right? Because remember, the Riley thing is happening, right? And Heisem puts Riley on the
Yep.
block, and we are sitting here in a conversation, and everybody is like, "Oh, Riley should stay," and I'm like, "I don't think this is good for my game." I'm sitting in what is this? The gym? It's me, you, and Jared. I think we're in the gym,
Yeah.
right? And Jared has to pick somebody to go to the nether region, if I'm not mistaken. And whoever goes to the nether, like they're safe from nomination. And we're all like, it can't be Riley. Like it has to be anybody but Riley. Like Riley has to be the one that goes. And we're also like, so this vote is trying to flip. And I don't think we are literally the only 3 that are on this same page together.
Yeah.
And that first week is this, what week is this? Like
week
2,
2.
week 3?
Yeah, week 2.
Whatever week this is, I'm like, okay, I like these guys. Like these guys. But let me tell you why the writer's room could not be as solid, as deep in the depths of my soul I want it to be. I'll say this. On a personal level, there is always so much respect and admiration that we have for each other. I think we probably have the best personal relations in the house.
Oh,
like
it was awesome. I was like, how are we going to move this into a strategic direction?
Right? How do we move this into a strategic direction? Right? Like we have these conversations, and I remember sitting in the backyard with you, and Miss Cerie comes over there, and she tries to grab me for a meeting with the professors in the HOH room.
Yeah.
Me and you are knee deep in a conversation about community schools and public education, and I
free
can't
lunch.
even be going to this meeting because I am so in the trenches of this conversation that I'm having with you. But what makes me wary of you is the first 5 of this game. Every time I have a conversation with people that I'm aligned with, whether that is Miss Cerie, it's Izzy, it's Jay, even Red, you're not in any of the alliances that I'm in with these people, but they're all telling me that they trust you, they have a good game relationship with you, but they don't want you to be in an alliance with us. And I'm like, so Cory isn't in any of our alliances, but everybody, including me, think that we have our
They were
own
trying to keep
separate...
us apart, Mimi. They were playing us against each other. They were scared of the connection we had. It was so obvious to the rest of the house. And look, you know what? I mean, they won this time, but like for me, I didn't know you were in. What was it? The Bye Bye Bitches was the first week stuff. Bye Bye Bitches.
Yeah, bye bye bitches.
And I knew about Brown Sugar Babes. I thought it was just called Brown Sugar by someone. By the way, Jared told me. Do you
Can we
see that Jared told me?
talk about
Yeah,
this? Can we talk about this?
go on.
When did Jared tell you, and why did he tell you?
Honestly, the Jack could probably answer better than me. I think it was like week 2 or 3. He basically approached it to me as like, because look, Jared tells everyone everything. He's like very clumsy with that. He just goes up to me and goes, you know, so also there's just it's unimportant, but there's this alliance called Brown Sugar. It's me, Mimi, Felicia, Suri, and like it's not like a real alliance or anything, but I wouldn't mess with it considering the nature of the alliance. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, because I also they were like shit talking Felicia the entire time, and they were shit talking you. So I was like, this all right, this doesn't seem real to me, and I didn't even realize it was a real thing until the scary verse. Jag, shut the fuck up. Anyways,
Jag, this ain't about you, buddy. Sorry.
yeah.
That so when you tell me
Mhm.
that you know about this, I remember you pulling me to the side and you're like, so is I think we're in the game room. I can't remember, but I think we're in the game room. And you're like, so what is brown sugar? And I'm like, brown sugar? Like brown sugar? And you're like, no, is it not a thing? I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. You're like, well, Jared told me about this thing week 3, but you only say this to me days after Miss Sari and Mama Fee have this big blow up fight in
Yeah.
the scary room. So I'm fully convinced that you were like sitting on the bed in the Scrambleverse listening to this conversation. Because in that argument, Mama Fee is like, and I thought brown sugar babes was like she says it. So I'm like, oh, there's no way that you held on to this information.
Yeah.
One, because you don't say anything about it in the argument that you guys have with the Humiliverse, right? Did this come up at all?
No, but also it like because I needed your vote, so I didn't think it was relevant to like bring up and blow up your alliances. I didn't want you to be mad at me.
Well, you didn't think it was important to blow up my alliances, but you did think it was important to go and tell Jared that I was in on flipping the vote to Mama Fee.
I never said that. I think
You
that
know,
was
you told me you
I
said
think
that.
I think America went downstairs and talked to you. I thought was the well. Okay, wait. So you're saying
No,
I
after the
yeah.
fact. Like once it was all like settled. Like once it was settled and it was like
Once the flip was on, and then in the Humiliverse, and Jared's like Jared's like, what are the votes? Then I list you. Yeah, because then I kind of wanted to lock you into it. Because if I don't list you, then you could back out. So I was like, if they know she already betrayed them, she has to like continue betraying them. She can't like retreat back into this whole thing. So yeah, I was like, no.
oh my God. And I remember not Corey, I remember Jared coming to me and he's like, yeah, Mimi, I'm just, this is when he wins the wall, right? He wins the wall comp and he's HOH. And like, you don't need to campaign like you're safe this week, but I was disappointed to know that you were in on this vote flip, but you never said anything to me about it, right? And I'm thinking in my head, like, who the hell told him that I'm in on this vote flip? Because as far as he knows, as far as I'm concerned, I was always voting to keep Mama Fee. I know nothing about the idea to keep Izzy. So how does he even know that this thing happened? And it was you.
Yeah.
The whole
Absolutely. And I would do it again. Look, I think I had a reputation in the house that was very well earned. You know what I mean? Like,
what was that?
I think, a little bit of a rat schemer, running around the house, that kind of thing. And honestly, I thought I was doing a good job for a while trying to push against that. And then once all the Humiliverse stuff was happening, I was like, well, here we are. Might as well just go, all in with this stuff.
Okay, so how nervous are you when this Humiliverse situation takes place? Because up until this point, you are very like cool, calm, collected. Of course, you're having conversations with everybody and you kind of have your hands in every pot, but it's not really magnified and highlighted in a way that you do it in the Humiliverse. Like, what is going through your mind after this whole situation takes place?
Yeah, I think for me, what was so scary about it was I just couldn't lose Matt and Jag in that conversation because I felt like I had you just because you wanted to keep Felicia, so it didn't really matter the rest of it. And then Bowie, I thought would just do whatever the majority was going to do, so it's fine. Obviously, I know I had America, so like all I had to focus on was Matt and Jag, and they're sitting there like on the bed, just like nodding their head to everything Jared's saying. So apparently, they were never going to flip again back to keeping Izzy. But that was like the only concern I had. And it's just obviously frustrating arguing with Jared because he's like such a domineering personality. And like, I think I'm very like outspoken and whatnot, but it's definitely a different style of arguing. So like I thought it was going much worse than it was. And then after I leave the room and I talk to Matt and Jack, I'm like, oh, the vote's fine. I was just very concerned about leaving either of them alone with either Jared or Suri, especially Suri, because
Yeah.
I didn't think Jared could convince him of anything because no one trusted Jared at that point. But like, if you give Suri 10 minutes in a room with anybody, she'll convince them of something. So that was like my main concern, almost just like passing the fucking time before the vote.
Listen, I remember all three of us girls, it's me, Blue, America, sitting in the bathroom, full on doing a hair tutorial. I'm teaching America how to do like these big
Yeah.
bombshell curls. Blue is bringing in like these Cheez-Its to us.
Mm-hmm.
And we're sitting there like, you know, something is happening upstairs because you come to the bathroom and you're like, Jack, I need you upstairs now.
Upstairs.
And we
Humiliverse.
what the is happening? Either way, let's fight to the death. We are not leaving this bathroom. Our name is Bennett. We're not in it. Like, let them fight to the freaking death. That for me was a hot ass mess. Not only does it blow up the entire game, now everybody who I feel like I trusted in this game, I no longer trust, and I have no idea how I navigate these next few weeks forward. Like,
well, apparently the reason no one trusted you is my fault. You know about this? The Middlemen?
Do tell. I've heard about this.
Okay,
tell
so
me from your...
this is actually not my fault because I never mentioned your name. So basically, I'm talking to Suri, and at this point in the game, I'm trying to nestle in with Suri, Jared, and Izzy. And I'm kind of like telling him every conversation I have outside of like my relationship with you, which actually wasn't as much of a relationship as I thought. And then my relationship with America, obviously, which they fucking saw because they're not blind. And shit, where was I going with this? So I'm trying to nestle in with them, and like Red has a conversation with me in America, basically saying like, "Yo, us people, we're in the middle. You know what I mean? Like we just gotta figure it out and try to protect each other." And then Bowie, he mentions as well. So I'm like joking with Suri, being like, "Oh yeah, I mean my favorite alliance is the Middlemen, me, America, Bowie, and Red. Like what a goofy group of people. Like obviously it's fake because I'm just terrified of Red running back to them, and then all of a sudden I'm fucked." So Suri hears this conversation and goes, "We can't trust Mimi." Because I think she, like, for whatever reason, interpreted as Mimi's in the Middlemen. And the Middlemen was never a real alliance, obviously. Like, it was never, like, I think I'm the one who named it to America. As, like, there was nothing there. But that, like, screwed your game up a lot. And I had no idea it was happening the whole time.
I actually had no idea this was a thing ever at any point until the week that I go up on the block next to Mama Fee. And I remember being in the room and I'm talking to Miss Suri, and we're just kind of like recounting all of the alliances from the season. And she says something about the Middlemen. And I'm like, oh, what is that? That sounds like a cool name. I literally say this in conversation to her. I'm like, oh, whose alliance is that? That sounds like such a cool name. And she's like, oh, you know, you're in it. I'm like, I was
Okay,
in
the
it.
chat is saying that I said me and she heard Mimi.
You said me and she heard Mimi? No, when she said this to me the week that I'm on the block, I'm like, I've never heard of the Middlemen a day in my freaking life. So the fact that you unintentionally threw up my game, this is why the writer's room can never work. This is why.
Okay, Mimi, why couldn't it work? Because like literally, I was like, this is so. I don't like. I was like, this is so genius. Like, no one's gonna see us working together. And then I kept going up to you, being like, Mimi, what do you think? How do you feel? And you're like, I feel okay. I'm like, that's good. That's good. So what do you think? You're like, what do you think? I'm like, Mimi, give me something, please. Like, okay. And I stand by this. I think the biggest like tangible mistake I made was voting out you instead of Felicia. But I really wanted to trust you the entire game and that week. But all my conversations with you were like, I was like, okay, I have no reason to believe she trusts me more than Matt and Jag, or she trusts me more than Suri and Izzy. Like, I never felt like I was trying so hard. But that was just my perspective. I don't know what you thought.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's get into it. Let's talk about this zombie week. Cam comes back. He nominates me and Mama Fee, and it is literally the worst nominations of the season. They make no sense at all, right?
Bad noms.
The most unnecessary. These are the most unnecessary nominations of the season, right? And so we have the nomination ceremony. The veto ceremony happens, and Mama Feet calls out you in America. This whole big blow up situation happens in the kitchen in front of everybody, right? You and I conversation, and you are full on like, I'm keeping you. I've already told Mama Fee that there's no way that I can in good conscience keep her. Like, so at least with me, you're good. If you could pinpoint a specific moment that changes your mind about this, what is that moment for you?
There's not really one, because I talked to Felicia again, and she was like, by the time Felicia tried to campaign to me, I already decided I wanted to keep Felicia. But that was mostly just me in bed thinking to myself, because here's one moment that was actually like kind of reaffirmed my decision. Was I'm in the HOH room. It's you, Cam, Jag, maybe Bowie, and you're doing the Dash and Alexis conversations.
It was Matt.
Yeah. Matt was there too. Yeah, he was sitting on the thing. And you're talking about Dash and Alexis and like doing your 2-hour comedy routine. It was like hilarious. And I'm like, I think she's close to Jag. Like honestly, like I don't. And basically what it came down to was I feel super uneasy on a Felicia or a Meme HOH. Mimi's more likely to win an HOH. It's that simple. My problem was honestly not trusting you. I think was reasonable. Like I think you would have put up Matt and Jag, but I think so would have Felicia. You know. But like my problem was I needed to keep you in the house instead of Felicia, because you're a threat they would need to get rid of, where they didn't perceive Felicia that way. So like my week when I get evicted, I think they thought it was a waste getting rid of Felicia there, but I think they would have found it worthwhile to get rid of you.
Well, let me say this, and let me reassure you of this, because I remember after the big blow, go upstairs to like the outdoor patio, and we're having this conversation, and I'm telling you, I'm like, listen, I know me and Mama Fee are being seen as a duo, but like I am 100% an independent thinker. I don't want you to think that this is group think or group feeling. Like me and you are still good. Like I got you. I'm not going to put you up if I win. You then go and tell Jag and Matt or Jag or somebody that I say that I'm not going to put you up, which makes no sense to say, because obviously the next most logical thing for me to do is to target Jag, Matt, Cam, Bowie Jade, which are my immediate plans should I win HOH. Me getting you, even or America out, is like end game for me. So even when we're having like this Final Four conversation, and I remember us being on the hammock and the first time we talked about it, and I'm like, listen, us doing this is a more feasible pathway to the end for all of us. It levels the playing field. And I thought that you felt strongly about that as well. So when I'm hearing that the vote's flipping, I'm like, what the hell is happening right now? Am I missing something?
Well, to be clear, the vote flipped before they were already on board to get rid of you, and I think they would have probably kept you if I wasn't on board, just because they wouldn't want to annoy me in America, and I don't think they cared that much.
I think you saying that you're on board with it is what solidifies.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
And the other part of why I didn't feel great about you that week was because the Meme, Felicia, Cory, America alliance was just such a mess. Because the truth is, like, obviously I prefer to go to the end with you two over Jag and Matt. It's just way smarter. But it almost felt like the same thing with the Suri, Izzy, Jared power structure, where it's like everyone felt like they had to go and run and tell them everything because they were in control. And with Matt and Jag, it wasn't so much they're a strategically dominant force. It's just looking at the house, who's most likely to win the next HOH, right? And as we saw, Jag and Matt won almost all the HOHs outside of the ones Bowie won after that, right? So, like, for me, it's I want to work with Meme and Felicia, but the second Jag wins HOH, Felicia's going to run up to Jag and rat me and America out. I know you wouldn't, but I was certain Felicia would, and she did that for the rest of the season to everybody, right? So, like, it was almost one of those like things where I felt paralyzed because I felt like I couldn't work with anybody. Because if I tried to work with anyone before they won HOH, Jag or Matt's going to win. People are going to run up to Jag and Matt, and then they're looking for any excuse to put up me in America. So that was the reasoning. It was very annoying to do at the time because it's like, I feel like I'm basically just having to be a rat. But the whole thing I was trying to do is like doing half truths to everyone. Like I'm telling you and Felicia, like, oh, I'll tell Matt and Jag that we talked or something, but I'm not going to tell them how serious it is. Then I'm going to Matt and Jag and being like, oh, Felicia approached us with this thing, but it's bullshit. Even Mimi's not on board. So like, I didn't want to be caught in a lie, but I think it just all made me look shady. But that was the idea. I don't know if it makes any sense.
It makes a little bit of sense. And also, so let me say, how much of a budding relationship between Blue and I influences how you and I stand, where you and I stand with one another? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, what does that do for you as you see this?
Well, there's two parts of it. So first of all, you picked me for every quiz competition you could. So like at every turn in the season, I was like, why the hell do I trust Mimi this much? Because I really did trust you. And I was like, I have no reason to. Like every sign is telling me I shouldn't. So that was part of it because it was in Soulmates you picked Bowie first, who was part of our vote flip. And I'm like, okay, well, Bowie's a nice, boring middle ground choice. Makes sense for someone in the Middlemen. Then it's me and Blue, and you pick me, and I'm like, oh, I'm out on Mimi. And I remember we had a conversation where you're like, I just kind of picked. I don't know. I don't even think about that stuff. I'm like, you absolutely think about that stuff. Like the thing is, you're so smart, and everyone can tell you're smart when talking to you. And then you're like, when it comes to competitions, I just kind of, I don't know, like who's closer? Whose name do I like more? So that was part of it. And then when we're flipping the vote, Blue was fighting so hard for you. And at that point, Blue is like my op, So I was like, all right, there's so many reasons why. And I'm like, if Mimi's with Blue, there's no way Mimi's with me because all Blue talks about is getting rid of me.
Oh,
so
yeah.
like
was fully on the get Cory out train. But so let me tell you from my perspective, right? Yeah. So at this point in the game, the only true ally who I feel like I have is Mama Fee. Mm-hmm. I need more allies sooner rather than later, right? I'm not really in with Matt and Jag. You and I are good on a personal level, but you in America are in this. Even if I do decide to get in something solidified with you, I'm still number two in that, right? Like just, and so I'm like, who else in this house at this point can I work with who has not like blatantly lied to my face?
Yeah.
Blue is one of the only people at that point in the game. And I'm like, let me give this a try because nothing else. I feel like if I go in here and I pick Blue over, over Cory in this knockout competition, Blue is fully going to be on board with Matt and Jag and getting me out. I know at some point they're coming after me. Blue is fully on board with that if I do this. But if I pick Cory over her, she's still fully on board with getting out Cory. I don't know if she actually does this if it comes down to it. But at least it's not me. Like, at least she doesn't convince
she would have put up she would have put up me and Bowie, and then probably Matt or Jag still win the veto, and I think they would take me off at that point. Jag definitely would. Matt might have. So I think it would have.
Right?
But that was for like the backdoor cam situation. So like, anyone will take anyone on the block to backdoor Cameron. You know what I mean? But I mean, come on, that was like the theme of the season. And then I think Matt might not have because the whole game I thought I was better with Matt than I actually was. But I still think in that double eviction he wouldn't have had enough time to flip Jag against me. So I think I would have been safe. But like Blue winning that would have totally fucked me up. And I'm like, Mimi's more loyal to Blue than me. I didn't know you and you and Blue had any relationship because I knew you had something with Suri, Jared because of Brown Sugar. I knew you and Felicia, obviously. I thought like you and Jag were talking a little bit more. You and America talked to. So I was like, Blue was not even on the radar. And then I was like, wait, what the fuck? What this basically told me was you wanted to keep Jared by picking me, which was like, that cannot happen.
Well, yes, that is true, right? Because the reality of this is that I don't really have that much of a game relationship with Cameron. Like the way that Cameron's game is just
so
interesting, odd, and like whatever, right? But I don't have that much of a game relationship with Cameron. And from my purview, as much time as you guys spend playing pool, you have a stronger relationship with him. And I remember even sitting in by the backyard by the pool, and I'm like, who is better for your game to come back in the house? And you're like, Cam. Jared goes out under my HOH. He's got to come back and target me. He's already made that clear. We have this big blow up. Like, I want Cam to come back. And I'm like, I actually don't want Cam to go.
But yeah, no, for you, Jared would have been way better. But like that was my whole thought when Zombie Week happened. I'm like, damn, both these scenarios suck. And like Cam was like, okay, I'm hoping Cam won't target me. Jared said he wouldn't target me. He says he would have put up Matt and Jag. I don't know if I believe him. I still think he puts up me in America. But you know, who's to say? I think for me it was just frustrating because like, you know, like we did this whole flip, but the thing that I couldn't. So like when we made this flip to vote out Izzy, there was the 6 of us. So me, Matt, Jag, America, Bowie, and you. And then me, Matt, Jag, America, and Bowie all started working together. And we were like, is Mimi in? But it felt like you were not voting with us. You were just voting to keep Felicia, you know? So like, that was always the frustration because I'm like, why are we not just like a voting block at this point?
Oh, and so let me add this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we do this vote flip against Izzy. At this point, I know now that whatever it is that I think I have solidified with Mama Fee, Jared, Miss Cerie, Izzy, etc., like this isn't as real of a thing as I think that it is, right? Mm-hmm. And I fully know that the house plan at this point is to target Jared. So in my mind, right, if the house is planning to target Jared, I am not. If I win HOH, I'm not gonna target Jared and put Jared and Miss Cerie up on the block. I'm complicit in these conversations out of necessity. But at this point, it's not good for my game to do that. But if you guys do it, then you guys do it, right?
Were you doing Matt and Jag that week? Was that your plan?
Doing Matt and Jag that week.
Yeah, I think you're the only one who would have at that point. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm full Matt and Jag. If I win HOH this week, it makes no sense for me to put up Miss Cerie and Jared, but I'm full on in conversations with you guys like, oh yeah, sure, right? So you win the knockout, Matt wins the veto, and Blue and Jared go up. And so at this point, all 5 of us, so it's me, you, America, Jag, Matt, Bowie, Jane. It's us 6. I remember after the vote flip, like 3 nights in a row, we're up late, sitting outside in the backyard, and we're like teasing around the idea of an alliance.
Yeah, Cory's alliance.
Right?
I remember this.
Cory's alliance. I'm the heart of this. I'm the soul of this alliance. You're the heart of it. Like, we're doing all of this thing. And I remember I had a conversation with you, and you're like, listen, I don't know if I want to go full on alliance with this thing. Like, I just don't know if I'm there. I'm kind of alliance PTSD. I have a conversation with Jag. Jag says the same thing. So whereas you guys are feeling like we don't know if Mimi is fully in, the conversation that I'm you guys like, are we going to do a thing? Everybody's like, I don't know if I want to do an alliance. So what sense does it make for me to like, you know what
my
I mean?
problem was Mimi, and maybe this is me being just too paranoid of you. The entire season I was trying to solidify something with you, and you were like, let's just keep it casual, you know, let's just like keep chatting. And then like, I'm like, okay, so this is what she wants. She wants me to go up to her and be like, yeah, like, I don't know about alliances. Like, I hate alliances personally, maybe. What I do like is relationships. And I feel like you and I, like, we always have each other's back. You never have to worry on my HOH. And that's why when I approached you and Felicia, I approached Felicia with like alliance, Final 4. And then I approached you with like, yeah, so like Felicia's talking about this weird thing. It's like 4 people. I don't know how those things work, like an alliance or something. So like I'm trying to like cater to different people, but honestly, that whole like us 4 thing, I approached Felicia with it initially because I was basically like, okay, I just saved Felicia basically, like, or the vote flipped, which saved Felicia, so I should work with her. Everyone else in the house just betrayed her, so she should want to work with me. And I was like, all right, like let's 4. Like I know you and Mimi, people think you guys are a pair. Me and America are a pair. This makes sense. Yeah. We don't have to make anything super formal. We can talk later because I didn't want to. I thought I would just look super shady and sneaky and whatever. And then Felicia starts pushing hard for us to solidify this thing. So it was my idea, but then Felicia's like, we got to do this right now. And then I'm like, sure. And that's when I approached you with it. And I'm shocked that you've never even heard of this alliance yet.
I never heard of it. You approached me twice about it. The first time you approached me about it, we're sitting outside on the hammock. And I'm like, I didn't know that this was happening, but I think it's a more feasible pathway to the end for all 4 of us if we actually do this. So like, I haven't heard of it. Okay, sure. And then you come to, and again, Mama Fee still never says anything to me. So for my purview, you're the only one who is saying something to me about this. You come to me again, and we're sitting outside, and I'm like, listen, if you are serious about it, like, I'm down. And I remember saying that verbatim. I'm like, listen, if you're fucking around, like, leave me out of it. If you're not serious, then fuck off. But if you're serious, I'm down for it.
Yeah.
And so I remember we all sit like on the patio outside that night, and we're all just kind of looking around at each other, and it's kind of awkward. And I remember being like, so we're all here, like, what's up?
Yeah.
And you're like, let's do this thing, like this, and I'm like, okay. Not even 12 hours later, literally, I wake up the next morning, I'm brushing my teeth. Blue calls me. She's like, oh, look, meet me upstairs in the game room. And she's like, so I hear that you, Mama Fee, Cory, and America have a Final Four. I'm like, what the hell? What? I don't even have time to sleep on. Literally.
Well, that whole idea was like, because that was an idea we had beforehand, even making it, where it's like us working with Matt and Jag. And we're like, all right, we're going to go make something with Mimi and Felicia. You should make something with Mimi and Felicia so they feel comfortable. But the truth is, like America and I would have gone with you. So it's weird. So like it was bullshit insofar as we basically leaked the alliance, but it was not bullshit in the sense of we'd rather go to the end with you two than anyone else in the game. So but why leak it? Because we're not going to beat Jag and Matt in HOHs. And you were evicted that week, so you could have run the table for all we know. Yeah. But like, as we know, Jag has the best shot of winning every competition. So it's like, and I'm certain this would have happened. Jag wins HOH. Felicia's running straight to Jag and throwing me under the bus because she did that the previous week to Cameron and then like called me out in front of the entire house. So like basically it was like a prisoner's dilemma where I'm like, look, I see how this game is going to go. The most important thing in the house is being allies with Matt and Jag and having them trust us. Like if I get the chance to take a shot, I will. But odds are I just need them to not take a shot at me. So, like, that was the reasoning. It was frustrating in the moment, but I do think it was actually the right call given how competitions went. But I still should have kept you. That was my mistake, I think.
You should have kept me. I agree with you on that. Not only am I a shield and a more immediate target for the comp beast in the house, I'm also not targeting you at all. Yeah. Like, I'm not targeting at least until like final 6 on after, right? Like you are not an immediate threat for me at that point. And so that is why I was literally so upset with you when I left. I was so pissed. And you probably remember this. The energy in the house was so like weird right before my eviction. You're sitting like in the 2 nomination chairs and I'm walking back and forth to the bathroom, like, you know, packing up my stuff, and like you have these glasses on, but I keep like cutting my eyes at you sideways, like you little fucker. I was so pissed off.
Well, honestly, we were not allowed to. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but we were not allowed to tell you who we were voting out that week. Like they were very like on that, but because I know I had one conversation with you in the have not room where I think I basically told you were going home. I'm like, I don't know if the votes are there, which is code for you're going home.
Yeah. Well, started in the bathroom. I remember being in the bathroom and you're getting out of the shower and you're like, hey, I just want to let you know that I think the votes are flipping. And I'm like, or you say, I don't know, you said something to that effect. Like, I think something is, and I'm like, why? And you're like, I don't know. Like, I'm not the one doing it. I just don't think that, you know, considering everything that's happened, I've been called out. Like, I just don't feel like I'm in a position to die on this hill to protect you or to save you. But I think this may be happening, and I'll let you know if it is or not. So at this moment, I'm fully convinced that if the votes are flipping, you and America are flipping them, because Mama Fee just stood in the living room yelling at you. I don't think there's any person in this house that tries to convince you guys to keep her, knowing that she is like actively targeting you, and you only need 4 votes this week, right?
So Jag and Matt were going to try to convince me, and then they came to try to convince me, and I had already changed my mind at that point. So I kind of just made it easy on them. But also, according to the chat, and I do believe this, apparently Felicia immediately ratted out the 4-person alliance to Suri, and America immediately ratted out to Blue. So I think we're innocent. Like, I think Matt and Jag, I told them about the idea of like us approaching you guys, but it was never like a Final Four. We're in an alliance situation, and I could be wrong. Like, I don't want to bullshit, but like I think that's what happened. But I think America trusted Blue too much, and Felicia trusted Suri too much.
Yeah.
So I don't know why Felicia was so mad at us for blowing it up, but I guess we did blow it up because America told Blue. But I also didn't know about that because I think America and Blue were talking a lot more than I thought they were. Because I think I didn't trust Matt and Jag at that point, but I was like, telling Matt and Jag stuff is important. I would not have told Blue a fucking word. Like, I think you know that. So, yeah. But honestly, the entire game, I was trying so hard to trust you. And like, I think you were my final two for the first week. Then Jared kind of takes that spot.
Yeah.
And then America takes that spot. And even still, I'm like, all right, well, America and Mimi is my ideal final three. But then we stopped talking until For Real is created, basically. And
yeah, it was like a week, kind of like coast.
I keep trying to force it, being like, Mimi, like, I know we don't talk that much, but that's why our alliance is so good, because it's so not obvious. But you're just not giving me anything. And I think I was told, at least by Taryn, that you were running most of our conversations back to Suri, which I think got you in more trouble than me, honestly.
Yeah.
But like, literally, if I had it my way, it would have been you and me final two from day 4, and that's what I was saying when I was talking to the cameras. But I feel like you just never trusted me, and I understand that because I don't think I'm a very trustworthy person. But I think, but look, I would have been trustworthy to you, and I mean, maybe, depends on the circumstances. But like, I think I would have been, but obviously it didn't work out that way, and you know, that's how it goes.
I mean, I just want to double down on this. So earlier game, like those first 5 weeks, I have conversation with, like, one-on-one conversation with Izzy, one-on-one conversation with Miss, one-on-one conversation with Jared. They all feel strongly and confident in their game relationship with Cory.
Yeah.
Then you tack America to that, right? So now I have 4 or 5 people who all feel super confident about the thing that they have with Cory. And I'm sitting here like, I too have a thing with Cory. I don't feel as nearly confident about this thing that I have with them as they do. So it's hard for me to really find the authenticity in what our thing is. Because there are like 4 people who feel super strong about what they have with you, and they don't feel super strong about what they have with me. And I'm also in alliance with these people in some way, shape, or form. So I'm like, listen, I want to trust Cory. And on a personal level, we get along great. You're one of my favorite people in the house. It's just hard for me to trust you because literally everybody else trusts you, and you give them all of this information, and they are using this information to navigate the game. And I'm like, that's not going to work for me. I don't operate like
I think for me, it was so important those early weeks because I started in such a bad position because of, you know, the Nether region and being nominated and whatnot. Like, it was, and obviously a lot of the heist stuff. Like, it was just like a really tough position at the start.
Yeah.
And I got really lucky because obviously the Suri Jared connection we didn't know about, and eventually it became obvious they were super close, but not like in that way. And I just got lucky that whenever I would talk to Jared, I would say the right things about Suri. Like, I would say, oh, we can take her to the end because she's not going to win competitions. She's the perfect person to be in our final 3. Which part of that was me just trying to be careful of not shit talking anybody, because that gets back to other people and then you're in trouble. But me getting in with Jared, Suri, and Izzy bought me so many weeks. But I think it also made me look sketchy to you, because when I approached you, the reason I approached you was, first of all, I thought you seemed like smart and normal, which was like not super common in the house because everyone is just such a character.
Yeah.
And also I thought you were on the outs. I didn't think you were in Bye Bye Bitches and Professors and all of that. I thought you were like, because I knew you were close with Kirsten, and Kirsten was getting evicted, so I'm like, oh, she's probably just looking for someone to work with. Little did I know that like you were in the hierarchy and I wasn't at that point. So that would have obviously changed how I approached it. But yeah.
Listen, the whole thing is also silly. As I look back on this, like, in the house, everything is the most important, and it feels like the most important thing in the world. I mean, $750,000 on the line. Like, it is the most important thing in the world, right? Like, we have no outside distractions. And then when we come out, I'm like, oh my God, all of it is just so dang freaking silly. And part of me, just as a fan of the show and a fan of the game, specifically like the social, the strategic aspects of the game, I'm also just like, it's hard for me to imagine now what it's like to not kind of be in game mode in these situations, because you go in and you don't know what being in game mode is like, right? You're just trying to develop relationships and figure out what the week to week looks like. And now that you're out of it, like, everything feels like a negotiation. I think that's like been the hardest disconnect for me. It's like everything feels like a negotiation. Everything has to be like a tangible decision that's being made, even still in my real life now, which is just so like.
I was in the
So
jury house, and like Cam and Blue walked to like one of the rooms, and I was like, "Oh shit, what are they talking about?" I'm like, "Wait, no, it's it doesn't matter what." And honestly, I feel like we had such a good personal connection, and I didn't even know you were like in politics, which is like my shit. Like I'm a political science major. It's like it's so frustrating to me because I was like, because literally I think I bonded with you because I was a communications major, but I'm communications political science. Like it was like shit, and honestly, I just fully bought you were a teacher because you talked about your students so like with such nice words, and you're like, my students, like they're all that matters to me. Like they're so amazing, and like I just can't. And I'm like, damn, I want to meet Mimi's students. Meanwhile, these students don't fucking exist, Mimi. Jag students would shit on them in dodgeball. It's just air.
Wait. So when you find out that I work in politics, like what are you thinking now that you know this? Like when you hear this, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Yeah, I was furious because Cameron predicted it.
Wait, that brings me to this. How is this weekend in Cam? Like, what does that week look like?
With just me alone with Cam in the jury house.
Yeah, just you two.
It was fine. I mean, it was like I think Cam and I have like a natural chemistry. Like we have good conversations and whatnot. Yeah. But like we obviously didn't get along the best. We basically just kept to ourselves, watched sports documentaries, played pool a couple times. But like the jury house really came alive when Blue and America came in because Blue and Cam became like reading buddies, and America and I just hung out the entire time. So like that 1 week with Cam, first of all, on night one we're up for like 14 hours talking about the game and disagreeing on everything because like I still stand by, like, I don't think I knew what was going on in the game as much as I thought, but Cam definitely didn't know what was going on in the game. And he's telling me how, like, Cory, like, Jag, he's a master strategist. He's a genius. He has his whole plan laid out. And I was like, I don't think so, man. Like, I don't see it. Like, I think Matt's probably a stronger player. We're just disagreeing on literally everything. And then I think we basically just agreed to disagree because I'm like, because you've never had an argument with me, but like, I think you can imagine with me and Cam, we both always think we're right. And then you put both of us arguing against each other, it just doesn't fucking end. You know what I mean? And then like, I think his instinct is to get like a little condescending, and my instinct is to get like very like Chihuahua, like woof woof woof. And that just like frustrates me more. So it would just like go on forever. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go watch a movie. But it was fine. It wasn't like a toxic jury house. We were chilling.
I thought the vibes were gonna be a little toxic. I'm surprised that they weren't toxic, but I love that for you guys. Okay, so I come home, right? And I start doing these like Instagram lives every Thursday of the live Eviction.
Yeah.
Right. And it's cool because I get to watch, I don't watch any of the other episodes back, but I'm watching all of the live evictions. And it's just like super interesting and cool to like see you guys playing when I was just there. And literally I get on my live and one of the first things that I see is Booger Boy. And I'm like, what the hell? Booger Boy. And I do a little research and the interwebs are saying that you were eating your boogers on one of these things.
Ask the question, like, Mimi, go on.
Did this really happen, or are you a victim of the bad edit? What happened?
Look, people can watch the live feeds, form their own opinions. Look, I don't think it is a time and a place for me to speak on this matter. Ultimately, I want people to gather the information and do their own research and come to their own conclusion. Honestly, if that is if that's the major criticism against me, I could live with that. Like I think a lot of shit goes down in that house. I could take this one. This is, honestly. Hey,
I'm weak right now.
That's. Do you like that? Is that good political speak?
That is a good pivot. I love it. Way to be diplomatic in your answer.
Thank you. I try. It makes so much sense.
Okay, so
you're in politics. I'm like, Mimi, do you want to work together? You're like, yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons to working together. And of course, I think what matters to me most is trusting someone. And I'm super big on trust. back at home, I try like you're such a politician. It's crazy. And by the way, so you're a political strategist,
I'm a political
consultant.
consultant and
Okay.
education lobbyist. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
that's
So
so the education lobbyist makes so much sense based on our
yeah,
conversations.
which is how I get to being a teacher, right? I know so much about education because I develop federal education laws, and I spent the first half of my career on Capitol Hill developing federal education
Yeah,
policies, and now I do a lot of work with national nonprofits as a education lobbyist, specifically for public schools, K through 12. So yeah,
that's cool.
it's cool and not as interesting as it sounds, but it's super impactful and
Yeah.
so I like it.
No, but what my plan was, because I think it's very cool, like everyone coming out of the house and like, getting the bag and monetizing things. I think it feels weird at sometimes just personally. So I think what my plan was, like when I start doing some more Instagram lives, especially like with America, I forget what they're called on Instagram, like Samps or something.
Back,
Like the badges, yeah, whatever the way to monetize that is, probably doing like all of those for charity. And if you have a good one for like that kind of thing, that would be awesome, because I've written so many speeches about like free school lunch, on military recruitment in high school being weird. Like I had so many different things about this, and like obviously, you know, if you're into it, I think that seems like it'd be a cool path, because I like this idea, but I couldn't brainstorm what the charity would be.
oh
But yeah.
no, like let's like talk about what
Mm-hmm.
some good for that. No, but I 100% love that. I mean, I think it's a great idea. I'm all in on that.
Yeah.
Like public education is my thing, so I'm 100% here for this. Okay, so let's do something fun, right? So
Mm-hmm.
before actually competing on the show, I used to love when like the Big Brother fan pages would do like the superlatives, right, for like
Yeah.
the season. So do like our own. Let's do some
Sure.
BB25.
Let's do it.
I think it'll be fun and cute. Okay, so we're gonna start coming out the gate, coming out hot. Best social game. You give one, I give one.
I'm between two people. Overall, sorry, but I'm gonna say for the season, I'm gonna say Matt.
I think I'm gonna go with Sari. Okay, but Matt was my alternative. Okay, great. Most opinionated.
Jared.
Oh, I think I'm gonna go Izzy.
Oh, that's good. That's a better answer, honestly. I think Izzy's right.
I was torn between Izzy and Hyson, but I'm gonna go Izzy. Okay, so class clown.
Class clown. Jag. Yeah.
I'm gonna go Mama Fee. I was torn
Yeah,
between
no,
Jag
that's
and
fair
Mama.
too.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Best duo.
I mean, look, I'm not gonna answer Jag and Matt. Like, I'm gonna go me and America, but feel free to look. We got 6th and 8th. They got 1st and 2nd. You guys can decide.
I'm gonna go with the Minuteman. I gotta give it to the Minuteman. Okay.
Ooh. The writers' room is the best duo of the season. Obviously.
Biggest gossip.
Biggest gossip. Blue, probably.
Ooh, I think I'm gonna have to go America on that one.
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
I think mostly it was between them two. So
Yeah.
I think it's
Those
fair.
are the two options. Okay. Last one, and probably my favorite, and probably the hardest. Best overall.
Best overall.
Mm.
In terms of game stuff, I gotta go Suri. I think ultimately when it comes down to competitions, like Suri's obviously gonna have a tough time, but just in terms of like who do I think is the best Big Brother player, Suri, and that's not surprising because she's the best at all these things. But I think Matt was probably the second best this season.
Yeah, I gave it to Sari as well. No, I was like, listen, if anything, we can't deny the fact that the first half of this game is dominated by Miss Sari.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, she comes in, and Jared and her are a built-in alliance already. They're mom and son. This is fortified by Izzy, who is the super fan, right? And she kind of latches on to that. And then you have Mama Fee, who adds like a layer of protection to that as well, right? In the first couple weeks, she wins in HOH. So I mean, she dominates the first half of this.
The first half of the game was so tough because like the Jared landmine that everyone was walking around was so complicated because if anyone said the wrong thing to Jared, it would get back to Suri. Like Jared would just go up and ask me how I felt about Suri. And at the time, I thought it was just my closest ally, asking me a question. But I didn't realize if I say the wrong thing, I'm like evicted next week. Because everyone saw Suri and Izzy. I don't think people saw Suri and Jared as being that close until like basically the week Izzy was leaving. Maybe I was just naive to that. And I've already complained about this to Jag, but like people saying we should have figured it out, it's like that's hard to figure out. Like I get they look alike. Like now I can see it, but in the moment, like it makes so much more sense that they're not mother and son.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
I mean, I feel the same way. Like when I come out, everybody, even my mom is like, "How did you not know?" I'm like, "Mom, I'm not going in thinking that the twist of the season is that Jared and Miss Suri are mom and son, or that there is a mom and son duo in this house at all."
Yeah.
And I'm also not looking for like similarities in their facial structure throughout the entirety of this game. Like I'm playing and trying to navigate the game. I'm not like analyzing facial features. Like the audience obviously know because they know the and like it's obvious to them, but it was not that obvious to us in the moment. Can I also say to you that I see this reel that you make last night and you are a complete menace. I want you to know that you're a complete menace. I get on Twitter and I see the side by side and I said, how long does it take for him to study this to get these moves down? Like how many times did you watch this video before you get the moves down?
Well, before I even thought about making the video, I'm just watching it for like 2 hours straight. Just like, oh my God. And then it took me like 90 minutes probably to film the whole thing. My whole thought is like, I'm trying so hard to make social media fun and not toxic.
Yeah.
And like I was like, this seems like a fun idea, like a lighthearted jab. Like I was like, this seems like a good time, and I really liked how it came out because when I was filming it, I was like, this is because I'm sitting there like going through my mom's jewelry box to try to find like shit to wear because I don't. Shockingly enough, I don't walk around with like rings on all the time. Maybe now that I'm an influencer. So like I'm like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Because in the Big Brother house, you kind of feel like, ooh, I'm on reality TV. Now I'm just home in like my childhood bedroom.
Yep.
And I'm like filming something for an Instagram reel to post on Twitter. I'm like, what the fuck is my life? Like, it's just so weird how these things happen. And look, if the only way for me to make a thirst trap is to do it ironically, I'm down.
Listen, if nothing else, it is a top tier roast, and I cracked up when I said this man is off his rocker.
Oh yeah,
he is sick. Okay, I want you to know that you're fully sick. Okay, so looking back on the season, it is the hardest thing that I've ever done. I don't know if you feel this way, but it's hands down like the most challenging thing that I have ever done. And like I'm still mentally exhausted. I've been out of the house for like 5 or 6 weeks now, and I literally still feel so mentally exhausted. But if nothing else, like having the opportunity, like we're both huge fans of the game, huge fans of the show, and having the opportunity to just go and play this game, like regardless of how like the chips may fall, like it's just such a privilege to play this game, and I'm like so honored to have done that. And as hard as it was, there were still so many great like highlight moments of the entire season for me. If you had to pick one of like your favorite, funniest highlight moments, which one would you pick?
I mean, there's so many. Like, there's the ones I think I remember most fondly, just because I came into the house wanting to play the game. Like that was the fun part for me.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Izzy flip and just running around, pulling you into a room, pulling Bowie into the room, pulling Matt, and talking to like that was the only time I felt like, oh my God, like I can envision what this is gonna look like in the episode. Like this is so fun. And then the double eviction HOH, obviously.
Yeah.
Especially it being against Blue, who like I would have been in big trouble if I lost that. And it's the only competition I won. Seeing I got chosen for Paths of Power was cool. The pressure cooker was awesome. That was a great time.
Pressure cooker was iconic. Okay, like peak. That was peak. brother moment for me. I remember standing in the living room and Kaiser comes on the screen,
Yeah.
and I'm standing next to, gripping her arm like this. I'm like, oh, the pressure cooker, we're about to get the pressure cooker. And
Yeah.
I remember somebody like, what's the pressure cooker? And I'm like, you fucking rookies, get them out of here. Like, I can't even remember who said, get them out of here. What are they talking about?
Well, look, the top 3 in the pressure cooker were 3 fans, right? And I think that happened for a reason. Because, like, for me, I was throwing that competition, but I was like, well, I want to be in the pressure cooker for a while. You know, like, just, like, experience-wise. I was like, this is going to be a great time. And I laughed so hard in there. Like, Izzy telling Cameron to shut up, Matt almost peeing on the TV, Jag peeing on me. Like, there were so many parts of it that were just, like, fucking wild. And, like, I still need to see the clip of Jag maneuvering in this cockadoodle zoom outfit.
Same.
I don't get it yet, but it's crazy.
Literally same. We just heard him moving in the dark, right? Because there's no lights in there at the time. We just hear him moving in the dark. And I'm like, how the hell is he coming out of this cockadoodle zoom suit to go and take this? Like, honestly, I fully believe that we were like on hour 2 when the peak started. To know that we are like on hour 8 is insane. I was fully pissed that they were peeing. Like, the irony of that. I'm pissed that
they ended up peeing in the pressure cooker and then leaving like 25 minutes after.
The willpower, no willpower.
Just leave or stay. Don't pee and then leave. This is the wrong order of events. And I feel like I didn't live up to my promise because I said I was going to shit on the wall. But our wall was bullshit. Can we talk about that for a second? Our wall was not an endurance competition. It was a how big are your forearms competition.
No, the wall this season, I don't know about any other season, but hands down the wall this season, it's full on a strength based.
Those grips are so big. Oh my God.
They were literally like first of all, I have super tiny hands, right? Like aren't that big. And the grips literally are this big and like grip from underneath, but the cannons with the goop are shooting from beneath us, right? So all of the goop is just like getting up under the hand grips and it's super hard to hang on. And the tilt is like insane. It was insanity. I totally went into the wall. I was like, oh, I'm about to have my Taylor Hale moment. Like all alliances have been blown up, right? Like now I'm not knowing who to trust or like what that looks like. I'm fully convinced I'm about to have my Taylor Hale moment. I even have on a similar outfit. Like it's going down. As soon as the wall took it for the first time, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm about to clock out. I am clocking the
that could be my best accomplishment in the house, beating you in the wall.
It literally, it was by like 10 seconds. I didn't even sit down before you had fell off the wall. And I was pissed because I was like, I could have beat Cory.
Yeah, you dropped off the wall and then I dropped. I'm like, where's my key? Where's my room, my shower? Like I did it.
I saw you fall. I was like, oh, this is some bullshit. Like I was 10 seconds away from beating Cory on the wall. Like how? The fact that you went out before I even touched like the stool was
the handle height was bullshit too. Cause like I could not reach the bottom ones and then the upper ones were way too high. Like I was holding like this the whole thing is I never had a chance of winning anyways because I suck at endurance clearly. But that was some bullshit. And we couldn't even squat. They took that out too.
It was terrible. I was so excited when we walked out and we were all fully convinced it was the wall and we were right. We walk out and we see the wall and I'm like, okay, first of all, we have to like manually walk across this tiny little ledge to start the competition.
Mama Fee almost falling.
Oh
my God.
He almost falls and like Matt is like the gladiator. He like grabs her with one hand and like pulls her back, right? But we have to like manually walk ourselves across this tiny little ledge. And I'm like, okay. As I'm walking across, I'm like, oh, there's literally no space on here for our feet. Like this is gonna suck. And as soon as we start putting our hands on the hand grips, I'm like, oh, there's no way that this is the grip that I'm supposed to use to hang on to this wall, especially if it's tilting the way that it did. Like I was so pissed at myself that I didn't win.
And we also did not get to pick our spots for anyone. Like we were told an order to line up in, and then we walked onto the wall.
No, we picked chips. We picked chips. Remember?
Yeah, no, I'm saying it was like random.
Oh yeah.
Like, it wasn't rigged, but like I think like here's the thing. I had like a great strategy for all the competitions. I'm just not good at competitions. Like remember the double eviction veto? where like I never even got out of the Orbeez because the strategy is you go in there and you get the 3 things, bring them to the top, and then you never go in the Orbeez again. Like that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But I never found the 3rd one. So people are like, Cory didn't even get 1. Matt said I was throwing the competition. I'm like, I just won the HOH. Why am I throwing the fucking veto?
Oh, I fully thought that because you didn't get out of the or I was like, oh, Cory didn't even try. Like I fully thought that you had thrown that veto.
No, everyone else was throwing by not doing my strategy. I just, the 3rd one wasn't there. That's the season's rigged. Where's my 3rd stake?
The season's rigged because the 3rd stake was you couldn't find the 3rd stake.
No, that shit wasn't there. I can promise. There's like 12 stakes in Jared.
Of this competition, do we know what this is called?
Monster Kill.
Boo!
So Blue knew. Blue remembered during the season, and she told Cam at some point, and Cam told me when he was getting evicted.
Oh my god! You little liars! Oh, yeah. I was fully convinced that nobody had known. I don't even remember them saying it. Like my adrenaline was running so much during the double. Like I didn't even have time to listen to Julie say what the name of the competition was. I was fully just like frazzled, trying to get through like the next few minutes of this thing. Like I had no time to listen to whatever it was that Julie was saying about this. Oh, brother.
I thought Eviction was a dream, Mimi. Like everything went perfectly. Like obviously I win HOH. And then the fact that Jag and Matt had to pick Suri during the HOH competition, I'm like, perfect, that bridge is burnt. Yep. Then it's house guest choice. I choose Jag, and then Jared picks Matt, and Matt wins and has to not use it on Jared. I was like, oh, this relationship is over. All of a sudden, this isn't Cory being the only enemy, it's everyone. Meanwhile, immediately Matt gets back in with Suri.
Oh, immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Which I think a lot of that credit goes to Matt and Suri because Suri knew she needed people. Yeah. But like after that double eviction, I'm like, the game is set up perfectly. I've got Mimi and Felicia. I've got Matt and Jag. I had Cam and Bowie. Theoretically, Bowie had wanted nothing to do with Cam, which I didn't know at the time. But I was like, this is perfect. Then Zombie Week. So,
Damn you, Zombie Week. Okay, this brings me to my last point.
Yeah.
So this Thursday that I'm evicted, right?
Mm-hmm.
I give my final speech. I say loose lips, sink ships, right? If you want to work with somebody who's not going to intentionally manipulate you and have you do their dirty work, then vote for me to stay. I give this nod to you. Like I make eye contact with you. I want you to know that I'm talking about you in this way.
I know. Right? Yeah.
When I say this, Julie comes out, she tells us the votes. I'm evicted, and you are sitting next to Mama Fee, but I hug Mama Fee, and then you're the next person in line for me to hug. And I full on stiff arm, no, right? I do this whole thing. I kind of hug everybody else. I think I also don't hug Matt in America, and not even for really any reason in particular. Besides, I just knew that I wanted to talk shit before I left, so I needed to get enough breath to be able to do that, right? So I go and I have my salty America and Cory are working Boy J. They're going to target you, and you. They're going to use you to do the thing, and yada. That I leave out of the house. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings immediately after this happened?
I was kind of confused. So I knew the vibes weren't great because we were having a bit of an awkward day that Thursday, you and I. So I was like, okay, so this doesn't, like, I think she's obviously talking about me. And then when you did the call out walking out, I was confused because I'm like, what the fuck does Bowie have to do with anything? Like, I get you're mad at me and then, like, you're mad at America. But I'm like, me, America, and Bowie. Because I think Felicia said something similar earlier that week. And I was like, I was trying to make the final 3 with Bowie, but she had, like, no interest. So I was like, okay, this is strange. And honestly, I kind of appreciated it because then Bowie won HOH. And I'm like, well, Bowie, everyone thinks we're a trio. Like, this is perfect. But I felt horrible because, like, the 2 votes I felt bad about all season were you and Izzy. Because I think I got along with you both human level more than just about everyone in the house, right? And, you know, I left, like, a really nice goodbye message. And, like, honestly, like, I obviously, on a personal level, I just get along with you better than Mama Fee. Like, she's great. We just don't get along as well. And even when I was, like, I felt horrible, like, swearing up and down to you that I was voting to keep you because at the time I was not lying. And I I really wanted to be more upfront about going up to you and saying that I was not voting to keep you, but we weren't. There was reasons why we couldn't.
Yeah.
But I think that whole day I was basically hiding from you, which I did feel bad about because it was a little cowardly. But I was like, let's just count down the fucking minutes. Like, just let's get to the next HOH competition.
Yeah.
Because the thing about you is like I don't think you're ever going to confront me, and I'm not inherently confrontational, so it was just never going to happen.
Yeah. No, listen. So let me tell you why I say Bowie Jane,
Yeah.
right? So as I go on my rounds and I'm doing my campaigning, this is on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. This is on Tuesday. I'm in the comic room. I'm having a conversation with America, and America's like, so, like, who do you, like, right? Like, we're planning to keep you, like, who do you trust? And I'm like, to be frank with you, outside of Mama Fee, you and Cory are the only two who I trust, because when I found out that every alliance that I was in wasn't a real thing, like, you two were the only two who actually would come to me honestly and told me about this thing, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
otherwise I don't feel like I have anybody, or that I trust anybody, or that anybody feels like they have me. And she's like, well, listen, how do you feel about Bowie Jane? And I'm like, Bowie Jane are good, relatively speaking. Like,
Yeah.
we don't have a close game
We're in the
relationship.
bye-bye bitches.
Yeah, like, generally, I knew that whole thing was over after the red,
Yeah.
right? So, like, relatively speaking, like, Bowie Jane and I are good, but we don't have, like, a good game relationship. I have no reason to believe that she would fight to protect me or save me for any reason, right? And America's like, well, listen, Cory really likes Bowie Jane. Like, Bowie Jane looks to Cory as sort of an advisor, and so, like, if you were to stay, I don't want you to feel like you don't have anybody. Like, Bowie Jane is also possibly somebody that you can have. Just like, she didn't say this like explicitly, but just to the fact that, like, all four of us could possibly work together before this whole, like, vote flip. I know that this vote flip is happening. In the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Bowie Jane looks to Cory as an advisor. Interesting information that I don't plan on using it at all. But then when I hear that the vote is possibly flipping, now I'm using this information as, as a campaign against you and America at this point, because I'm convinced that you two are the reason why the vote flipped. And so as I'm leaving out, I've already said this to Jag and Nat and Miss Cerie in conversations, but now that I'm leaving out and people know that I played this game, I haven't lied, it's time for me to double down, because my chance at $750,000. I'm taking shots now before I leave, so let me start doubling down.
Then you see my goodbye message and you're like, ah.
Yeah. Then I see the goodbye messages out. I see the goodbye messages, but then also immediately after, I learned that Jared and Miss Cerie are mother and son, and I'm completely shook.
What was your reaction to that?
I was like, I audibly screaming. Like, I was super shocked. I had no idea. Literally, I had no idea. So when Julie,
it was, I mean, they told us in jury, Blue hinted that there is a secret. Also, by the way, Joseph, these are my brother's trophies. Mine are in the other room, just way more, obviously. Shout outs to Zachary. But no, I was like, they told us Jared had a secret, and I'm just in there like hyping him up. I'm like, he's a professional rapper. He's like a fullback on the Cleveland Browns or something. Meanwhile, what it actually was. I can't believe Blue didn't spill to anybody in the house, because Blue was spilling everything to everyone. I was like, how the hell did this secret not get out? I guess it was just like, because it would have helped her game a lot too, I think, at different points, but I don't know.
I mean, her and Izzy not spilling the secret is like, you have to say something for that type of loyalty, which is like not a commodity that you typically have in a game like Big Brother. So, I mean, if nothing else, I respect it. Obviously, the rest of us, like, not knowing that information is like, damn, we're finding out the last minute, but them knowing and not spilling that information, if nothing else.
Well, it's amazing because so many people knew, like Izzy and Blue knew, and it still didn't spill. And honestly, the fact that Jared spilled it to Blue is unbelievable. And then didn't tell Surya. That's like, so funny.
It's such a son thing to do. I'm like, this is. I know Miss Surya is watching this. Like, this is something. Like, that's something that your child does. Like, this is something that your son will do. Like, 100%. She's watching this. Like, I'm not surprised. This is something that my son would do. Well, listen, adore you. You know that. Like, on a personal level, all of the conversations that we had in the house were some of my favorite conversations of all time. I have so much respect and admiration for you, both inside and out of the game. Like, you are coming into this game and positioning yourself as the strategic genius, the mastermind that everybody wants to work with, that everybody sees a value add in aligning themselves with, is just a genius strategy, I think. And I think you should be proud of the way that you played the game. Obviously, you know, outcome is the outcome that we want, because we should have had our final four and stuck to it, and we should have had a final two and stuck to it. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. On a personal level, I'm always Team Skeezy.
Oh, look, I'm always Team Meme. I was Team Meme game wise too for a lot of it, and then I was I guess Team Mama Fee for a moment. But yeah, no, you know how much I look up to you and respect you, and honestly, I probably gonna have so many like career based questions for you now too, because I've got to figure out like my actual life, and you know, I was thinking about going out to DC, so you know, we'll be in touch. I'll also talk to you after this about some of the Instagram live stuff and some ideas for that. But yeah, Mimi, I love the idea that people thought we had beef, because like honestly, coming out of the show, I was so not nervous about you and I. I was like, oh, Mimi and I, because I know you're a fan too, so I was like, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
And I'd like, in case everyone has any like, yeah, I think in the house I said it was like America's my favorite person, then Mimi's second. Mimi's the best. Like that's basically where I stand, and I'm not budging. So
I will forever be Team Skeezy. My personal nickname for you was Skinny. I won't let them in on why that nickname was Skinny, but my personal nickname for you is Skinny. You were one of my favorite roommates this season. Just you would abide by all of the rules.
Wait, I have one question. How obnoxious were me in America in the bed next to you? How bad was it?
On a scale of 1 through 10, I'm gonna go with solid 7.
Okay. Look, I thought it was worse, because I remember we were in the corner bed, and you were saying you heard something, and I'm like, wait a second, we used to be next door. I was like, oh shit. But the alternative was being in the bed next to Felicia, so I think we made the right call.
Yeah. When you guys were next to me, I like, honestly, I would just like burrow under the pillows and just not like try to hear anything. When you guys moved to the other side, I didn't have to burrow that much, but I feel like it got louder because you guys just got more. I think the more comfortable you guys got with each other, like the louder the smooching became. So yeah, once you moved to the corner bed, you were fully into it at that point. You could give a damn if I was in the room or not. So
I deny everything. We didn't do anything in the house. Let's come on. I'm also, a man of tact and what do you say? I'm a man of taste and tact. So I would never.
And I want to say this: the conversations that we had in the early days of the budding romance between you and America were also some of my favorite, because you know I'm an only child, so I got to play big sister, and I love those conversations. So
that means it. Thank you so much, Mimi. I love talking to you. We'll obviously talk super soon.
Yes. Talk soon. Adore you. Talk soon, and have fun. Don't let the crazy internet drive you crazy.
Never. Same with you.
Okay. Talk soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.